Hi, Krypton. Well, welcome to week 2 of Connections. We're going to continue with creating our myth, right? Last week we kind of brainstormed about your mythical god or goddess and figuring out what exactly they were going to be over and all their characteristics. So, if you have that, it would be great if you already pulled out your connections things so that way you have them to work on as we go through it. My goal with this PowerPoint is to see that or give you a little extra help or ideas as to what I'm looking for. All right, now if in the background you hear any just like pots and pans, it's because we're also making lunch at my house. So I wish I could invite you guys over, but I'll let you know if it turned out to be delicious or not. So if you hear any crackling or pouring or anything, that's what's going on in the background. But back to the task at hand. So just as a reminder of last week's PowerPoint, the main points that I want you to know for the myth that you are creating is that they usually involve a mythical god or goddess. So we're going to kind of go back to that brainstorming page. It needs to explain the many mysteries of life. So this can be from the origin of the universe to why an animal is the shape or form that it is today. It has to use a lot of figurative and descriptive language. So this is where we're kind of bringing everything we've learned about figurative language, and now it's going to come into play. And then your story needs to have a problem and a solution to that problem. That's what makes a story so interesting, is that there's a conflict and then a resolution to that conflict. All right, so what we're going to do is try to write a myth together. So you have an example of, just to give you a little bit of an idea of what I'm looking for. The first thing you're going to need is your creating a god or goddess brainstorming page. So I have kind of here an image of what it looks like. You should have this. I know several of you have already sent it back. Please make sure that you send either a picture or if you're writing it down, just let me know that you're working on it. Okay, the second thing you needed to do was make your choices. So I think I'm going to choose animals. I think my god or goddess is going to be kind. And some names I'm going to think of are Avel, Sacker, Garshank, Palm, and Living. I don't know. I'm just going to try those names. I think those sound pretty good. I think they sound pretty mythical. All right, the next thing that you're going to need is your create your own myth worksheet. So this is the new worksheet that we're working on for this week. You can grab that now, or you can wait until after this PowerPoint so that you can see what each of the sections are going to involve. Okay, so let's start with the beginning. We have the title, and we have where it says Once Upon a Time. So this section is going to be where you are introducing your god or goddess and the setting. So I have to make my choices. And so kind of going back to that brainstorming page, I think I'm going to say a particular animal. I think I'm going to start my story and then kind of go through. I might make some tweaks. But I think I'm going to decide that it's going to be a goddess who is kind. And I think I'm going to go with the name Anvil. So I'm going to start typing in and just start with a long time ago. So you'll notice that I didn't say exactly once upon a time, but it's very similar. So a long time ago lived a goddess named Anvil. I'm going to change her name. She was a kind goddess with leaves for arms and emerald green eyes. Notice that I have a lot of descriptive language. She only ever spoke in whispers through wind, and all the animals loved her. So right away, you kind of get a picture of Anvil and all of her qualities. That's kind of what I'm looking for when you start writing about your mythical god or goddess. Okay, so for the next part, it says, and every day. So this is where you're explaining what your mythical god or goddess's normal day is. You can also expand on their relationship with their creation or what they are in charge of, like maybe expanding on their powers. So I'm going to add every day. Notice that I kind of changed the wording a little bit. That's okay if you need to do that for your story. So I have every day, Anvil will go to the watering hole and make sure all the animals were safe and healthy. So I'm kind of explaining what her everyday looks like. So she's going to the watering hole, she's kind of checking on the animals, like, are they good? Okay, great. She was the mother of all, whispering benevolent praises to all the animals. So I'm kind of letting us know what her relationship is to her creation. Her voice brushed the horse's mane and tickled the baby geese or goslings. So I'm kind of explaining a little bit more about her characteristics. So I know everything about her is very soft. She's like whispering, her arms are full of leaves. This is kind of, I'm getting more of a picture of who Anvil is and what her normal day looks like. So let's keep going. I'm going to leave the first two parts up there, and then I'm going to add in this third part. So it says, until one day. Now I need to introduce the problem or the issue. Now, this issue or problem, it also has to go back, it has to have a solution. It has to have a way that Anvil is going to either change things, or the universe that I've created is going to change. So I'm going to add, at this time. Notice that I changed until one day to at this time. Giraffes all had short necks. Their necks were only as long as humans, until one day, thanks to a mischievous little giraffe named Tintin. So now I'm introducing the problem. The problem could be just something that isn't the way that we know it today. So in my world, the one I'm creating, all the giraffes had short necks. So you can picture your neck, but on a giraffe. So you picture that giant head, that giant body, and then a tiny short little neck. So that's the problem that I'm introducing. And now I'm going to have to just move on to the next part, which is what happens next. Okay, now for the next part. So we've now been introduced to the problem. Now I need to kind of explain more about, just kind of give like more of an explanation. So I already know that they have short necks, but I kind of had to set up what is going to be involved in the change. So I'm going to add, Tintin was always climbing trees, even though his parents asked him to stop. So I kind of have more of a problem there. Because he didn't listen, one day Tintin lost his balance and got his head stuck between two branches. So now I've kind of expanded on this problem. So you can see that I have, and because of this as a sentence starter, just add that in there. It's like, because they didn't do this, or because they did do this, this other thing happened. A very easy cause and effect. Okay, and then the next part is, so they tried. I need to explain how the characters, and in my case, particularly Anvil, my goddess, how did she try to fix a problem, but she's going to fail? So the thing I know about Anvil, if I go back to the characteristics, is I know she has feathers for hands, and then, or for arms, and I know that she's very benevolent, she's very sweet, she's very, everything about her is like a whisper. So that's going to be a problem when somebody has their head stuck in a tree. So I'm going to add that Anvil saw Tintin and tried to get him down, but her whispers were not strong enough. She tried to use her arms, but they were only leaves and not strong enough to pull him down. So I'm explaining how she failed. Now we're almost finished with our myth, so we have a few more parts. We have until finally. Now I need to explain how the characters tried to fix the problem and succeeded. So earlier, Anvil was unsuccessful. Now I'm going to introduce more characters that are going to help. Now you can have where your god or goddess is able to succeed. You can have that. In my case, I'm going to actually add the other animals. Then all the animals tried to help. They pulled and pulled on little Tintin's body, and they all took turns trying to pull him down. As they were pulling, Tintin's neck kept getting longer and longer, but finally, after hours of pulling, Tintin was able to slip out. Okay, so now my characters have succeeded. Now they, we've been introduced to something else here, but they were able to be successful and they pulled him out. So now I'm going to give the last part of my story. And ever since then, now I'm explaining the new normal. So before, my problem was that giraffes had short necks. Now they have long necks. But I need to kind of give more of a finishing touch to my story. So Tintin was crying because now he had an oddly shaped neck. Anvil thought for a moment and smiled at him. Because she is benevolent, we know this about her character. She showed Tintin how his neck would help him. Now he was able to reach the food at the top of the tree. Soon all the giraffes took turns getting stuck in the tree so they too could have a handy long neck. And that's the story of giraffes and how they got their long neck. So you can see that from where we started, we learned about our mythical god or goddess, and I didn't have a title. But throughout the story, as I was kind of developing my story, now I know my title. My title is going to be The Story of How Giraffes Got Their Long Necks. And that is my myth. So now what I want you to do, if you've been following along, you can pause it here and then you can start working on it, or you can go back and listen through all of the different parts so that you know or you have an idea of where we're going with your stories. But now it's your turn to write your myth. Please feel free to email me if you have any questions. And I hope that you enjoyed our myth. We're going to talk more about it next week and kind of continue it. But please feel free to email me or ask me any questions that you have, and I'll be more than happy to help. Good luck, guys, and I'm so excited to just hear and read some of your myths. You all are some of the most creative students I have, and I'm really excited to kind of see what you create. All right, we'll talk to you soon. Bye.